wasn't initially my favorite, but I didn't hate it. I didn't immediately love it, but I don't dislike it. Mild spoilery stream of conscious review first impression of having seen Superman this weekend. It was like a solid 3.5 out of like 5 stars for me upon first watching it this past weekend. And so the more I'm in the discussion, the more I see people saying things I agree with, the more I see people saying things I even disagree with, the more I just keep thinking about, but I like this. And I like that. Oh, I didn't like that so much, but it didn't break the movie for me. Superman loves saving people in this movie. He loves using his powers for good, just like he said when he yelled at Lois in that viral teaser where they were just going back and forth about the ethics of him being Superman. He just wanted to represent himself and represent doing good, using his powers to do good. And one example of that I won't lie, kind of was a little eye-rolly to me at first, just a little, was when he saved the squirrel. And now that I'm back on social media, now that I'm specifically back on Twitter, I'm seeing if it ain't about Krypto, it's about the squirrel. If it ain't about the squirrel, it's about Krypto. And I won't lie, I thought it was just a little overboard because I had a sense, based on James Gunn's pedigree, he wears his heart on his sleeve cinematically, especially if you've watched The Guardians. Admittedly, his Guardians trilogy is my main exposure to James Gunn's films. And so I had a feeling that there'd be a lot of emotionality and things like that, regardless of what we saw in the trailers or not. And at first I thought the squirrel save was a little over the top. It's like, I get it, Superman is wholesome, gosh golly. But the more I thought about it, and the more I just saw people just loving all the saves and all the quotes and things from Superman, how he stands up for the little guy, how he berates Lex about being kind, about struggling with fear, not always knowing what to do, but he's still just as human as the rest of us. And he hopes one day, for the sake of the world, that Lex Luthor will see those same qualities in himself. Then scenes like the squirrel save actually made me smile. I wouldn't roll my eyes quite as much. Because I really see now, it's like, wow, Clark really just loves any opportunity to save people and use his powers for good. Kind of in that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man kind of way. Just think of any given Spider-Man movie where Spidey is swinging through the city, giving people directions, making sure people get their pocket change back, or like anybody missing a bike or something like that. And it's like, we always knew that about Superman, didn't we? Across different movies, across different comics. One particular panel I've seen, I can't remember what comic it's for, it might be the tie-in to the film, is Superman's been listening to a young musician in the park for several weeks or something, and he, drops her a tip in her guitar case and just says, I just love hearing your song every morning, on flying his route or whatever. Little things like that, to, of course, Christopher Reeve in 1978, saving the cat out of the tree. Superman basically popularized that whole superhero idea of saving cats out of trees. I love Lex being the ultimate hater, juxtaposed to Superman just being wholesome and everything. I love how Lex is just the ultimate hater. I love how he's imprisoning ex-girlfriends in his pocket universe. It's that bad, and he's separating fathers from their children, in the case of Metamorpho and his son. And it's just like, they chose him, let them die. When Lex and the Luthor Corp staff are about to evacuate, when he's splitting the city in half, and he's just so petty. And Nicholas Hoult just really, really owned the hateration of Lex, and I really liked it. I really enjoyed also his literal machinations where he's running around the office as all of his cronies are pressing buttons. It kind of felt like a chessboard. He had a numerical and alphabetical code, D9, A1, F5, because he's just studied Superman for the past 3 years. And Totally unbeknownst to Superman. I thought that was cool. We knew that, but Superman didn't even know it. So that was really cool, and I really like that. I think the movie is borderline overstuffed for my taste. But having said that, there's a lot to really like. There's a visual feast. The characters are really colorful. One of my favorite characters is Mr. Terrific, absolutely, from the Justice Gang. I had a feeling he was going to steal the show, and for me, he totally stole the show. Eddie Gathegi did his thing, and I think all Kenyan Americans are like hype right now, like for sure. That he was awesome, and I can't wait to learn more about Mr. Terrific. And I think if it was a little bit tighter, I would have gotten more of Clark and the Daily Planet crew, because I loved those Daily Planet character posters. The moment we first saw David Corenswet's Clark Kent, I loved his style. I loved, the hairstyle. I loved his, are those aviator glasses? Whatever his style glasses are. I loved hearing how David Corenswet kind of based his physicality off of his older brother, who's maybe 5 inches taller than him in real life, and according to David, didn't always seem like he was always that comfortable growing up in his own body, being a gentle giant, which also evoked some of the physicality in All-Star Superman, James Gunn's primary inspiration for the movie. I mean, I did really enjoy the fancifulness drawn from All-Star Superman as far as the pocket universe and the little aliens and the kaiju. It feels like the spirit of All-Star Superman, from magic to super science, Lex Luthor being kind of a modern day sorcerer, knowing things Superman doesn't know, having deep pockets and far reach, and councils with shady individuals and things, because I think, again, if it had been a little bit more lean of a story for my taste, I would have gotten more of Clark. Having said that, I'm glad that it was paced and edited in such a way that most of Clark is at the top of the movie, especially with him and Lois, which I thought was great. And then you get a little bit more of him later on in the movie after he's lost another battle and they go to the Kent farm. I thought that was really cool. I enjoyed at the very beginning how the timeline of events is like in threes. 300 years ago, metahumans first showed up. 30 years ago, Superman revealed himself to the world. And then maybe 3 hours to 3 minutes ago, he just lost his first fight. In the opening title crawl, I thought situated us very well into the world. And I thought that was really cool. It means there's so much more to learn about as we go forward into the DCU, with Chapter 1, Gods and Monsters and whatnot. But the more I think about the movie, and I can't wait to see it again, the more things I find about this movie to like, maybe even borderline love. And Superman was my favorite superhero growing up. This was my most anticipated movie of 2025. I'm so glad that I got to see it, and I can't wait to see it again. I think it's an awesome crowd pleaser. Generally speaking, I think people who don't know too much about Superman can still get a lot out of it. It's like 100 years of Superman at this point. You can't please everyone. James Gunn admitted that. But the cool thing is, whether you're talking about Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, or any other superhero, there's decades and decades of lore at this point, decades and decades of media. And the fun thing about bonding over superheroes is that you can pick and choose your favorite parts, and you can bond with other people about those parts. Even if it's haterade, even if you're talking crap about it online, we can all still connect in a way. There's a lot of things, the more I look at James Gunn's Superman, the more things I can pick out that I really, really liked about it. So let me know in the comments if you've seen James Gunn's Superman, and let me know what you thought about it, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.